Passover is the holiday of storytelling. It's a time when we are commanded to retell the story of the Exodus from Egypt. And while in Hollywood, the end of a good story is usually greeted swiftly by the rolling of the credits, in reality, when one story ends, another one usually begins. Passover is the same way. It's a critical moment, a junction in the history of the Jewish people. And here we stand at another one of those junctions, on the banks of the Jordan River. After the dramatic escape from Egypt, our ancestors closed the chapter on slavery, but also began writing a new chapter, one that was also filled with difficulty. 40 years of wandering in the desert. When they left Egypt, the children of Israel heard about the promised land, but at best, it was a dream, and at worst, it was an unattainable myth. In a time without Instagram or even the internet, the land of milk and honey was quite literally a legend of divine proportions. And not everyone would get to see that legend. In the desert, while the Israelites saw incredible miracles, they also experienced a lack of faith. They doubted, and they were skeptical to the point where the entire elder generation, and even Moses himself, were doomed not to enter into the promised land. While the crossing of the Red Sea ushered in a time of freedom and redemption, it was only when the Israelites crossed the Jordan River that they came together as a people, as a nation. And led by their new leader Joshua, this young generation crossed through the Jordan River, much like their parents did, the Red Sea. As we read in Joshua, now the Jordan keeps flowing over its entire bed throughout the harvest season. But as soon as the bearers of the ark reached the Jordan, and the feet of the priests bearing the ark dipped into the water at its edge, the waters coming down from upstream piled up in a single heap a great way off at Adam, the town next to Zarethan. And those flowing away downstream to the Sea of the Arabah, the Dead Sea, ran out completely. So the people crossed near Jericho. The priests who bore the Ark of the Lord's covenant stood on dry land exactly in the middle of the Jordan, while all Israel crossed over on dry land until the entire nation had finished crossing the Jordan. When they finished crossing the Jordan, the dust of slavery had been washed away from them, and the children of Israel were free to look into the promised land and the great unknown that it held, and begin their next great challenge of building themselves as a people and as a nation in the land of their forefathers and mothers. About a year ago, we stood on the banks and stared into the hopeless depths of the sea. We endured a Passover of social distancing and solo seders, and then were greeted by the great unknown of the COVID desert. We've had moments of inspiration, miracles, medical treatments that have saved lives, and vaccines rolled out in record time. But we've also known pain. We've lost loved ones. We've lost heroes and leaders and a generation of giants who blazed a path for us in the wilderness. We've cried, we've bickered, we've complained, we've lost our faith and regained it only to lose it again and to finally reclaim it and stand here on the banks of the Jordan River, looking into the promised land and the beautifully terrifying unknown that it holds. This year, together, we cross the river and we will open the door for Elijah the prophet to herald in a time of redemption, of good news and of better things. a reality that we will create together. Chag Pesach Kasher V'Sameach. Have a happy and healthy Passover from all of us at Stand With Us.
Karpas yachat magirachza motzi matzah maror korech shulchan orech tzafon barech halel nirtzah.